Hey guys, we're going to start off with the homework that you had, well, classwork that you had yesterday. It was a homework page, page 907. So if you don't have that page, but you did it, make sure you pause me, go get it. This is our activating strategy because, sorry, I'm yawning. It's kind of late and I'm doing this video, it's like 11:22. Make sure you go ahead and grab this paper and put it in front of you so that we can go over it together. Alright, so let's look at it. At the top it says, name the polygon used to form the greeting card shown. Does the red outline appear to be a regular polygon? Okay, so let's see. We know that a regular polygon has to have congruent sides and congruent angles, okay? Alright, so this has 4 sides, right? Top and bottom appear to be longer than the sides. So because of that, we know that it's a quadrilateral. We call this quadrilateral rectangle, but for this sake, we're going to call it a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, and that's what we call any shape that has 4 sides, any polygon that has 4 sides. Okay, and let's see, it has 4 equal angles, 90 degrees, but guess what? It does not have 4 congruent sides, so because of that, it is not regular. All right, let's look at our other ones. Number 1, you should have this as a hexagon and it's regular because all sides are the same. Number 2, it's a triangle. None of the sides are the same, so it is not regular. If none of the sides are the same, then we know none of the angles are the same. Okay? All right, and then for number 3, a polygon is a closed figure made up of line segments that do not cross each other. So, a regular polygon is a polygon with congruent sides and congruent angles. All right, so using the tangram, let's answer these questions. Which of the following polygons appears to be regular? Well, D is the only one that seems to have the exact same sides. Now, one way you can check in case you thought A and B might be the same, if you look at it, A and B are kind of standing straight up. They're right triangles right here. So there's no way that this could have the same exact angle because it's not 90 degrees. It can't be 90 degrees. We can only have one 90-degree angle in a triangle. Okay? Alright, so what are the polygons represented in the tangram? There are 4-sided shapes like a square and a trapezoid, so we can call that quadrilaterals. If you wrote square and trapezoid, that's completely fine. And then last, there are several other triangles or 3-sided polygons. So those are triangles. Okay. All right, let's look at number 7. Congruent figures have the same size and shape. Which polygons appear to be congruent? A and B are congruent to each other, and C and E are congruent to each other. Okay. All right, name the polygon used to form the front of the tent. Determine if it appears to be regular or not regular. Well, this definitely seems like this is way longer, the base is longer than the 2 sides. So I've got 2 tick marks at the bottom and 1 tick mark to represent that these are the same measure. So this is a triangle and it is non-regular because it only has 2 sides that are the same. All right, let's look at number 9. Explain why the figure is not a polygon. Well, because this has no line segments, it has curved lines. If the points met and formed a line segment like over here, then this would be a polygon. But because it is not a polygon, it's curved. And the reason why is because it is not shaped using line segments. Okay. All right, let's look at number 10. So again, when we're thinking about examples and non-examples of polygons, this is a non-example because it's a curved line. There are no line segments. B, exactly the same. There's 1 line segment, but then there's a curved line, and a polygon cannot have curved lines. C is definitely correct because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 sides, so it's a hexagon. And it is regular. It is not regular because it does not have all equal sides, but it is still a polygon because it is a closed shape. Okay, looking at number D, it's not closed and it re-intersects itself. So because of that, this is not a polygon. Alright, so that's it for that assignment. Alright, so we are going to talk about triangles today. Excuse me real quickly while I grab the slides. It kind of slid away from me. Alright, so there are two ways that we are going to talk about classifying a triangle. Oop, there it goes. Alright, so here we go. With classifying triangles, we can classify them by their sides or by their angles, okay? So forgive me because I'm going to kind of rush through this a little bit, but you can always go back and watch this again slower on your side, okay? So the first way we're going to talk about is with angles. So there's three different angles. There's acute, obtuse, and then there's right, which sits kind of up and down. And you guys learned that in 4th grade. We're just going to apply it now to 5th grade, okay? Alright, so this is an acute triangle. What you should notice is that all of the angles are acute angles, which means they are less than 90 degrees, okay? This is an obtuse triangle, and what you should notice is there's actually one obtuse angle. There can only be one because every triangle adds up to 180 degrees, okay? And this is a right triangle. So it's a right triangle because it has a triangle that reaches one angle that reaches exactly 90 degrees. The other two angles have to be acute because, again, this has to measure up to 180 degrees, okay? All right, so the first right angle is a triangle with a a right triangle is a triangle with a right angle. I don't even know where I got left from, sorry. All right, so what kind of triangle is this? Hopefully you said obtuse, okay? All right, what about this one? Hopefully you said right because you can see that right angle right there. All right, and then the last one, it has 3 acute angles, so we're gonna call this an acute triangle, okay? All right, so the other way that we can classify triangles is actually by its sides, okay? So equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. There we go. So since we've learned how to do these with our angles, now we're going to just talk about how you can classify them with their sides. So if we look at this triangle, all 3 sides are exactly the same. So this triangle is a regular polygon because all of its sides and angles are going to equal exactly the same. And this is called an equilateral triangle. Equa meaning the same or equal, and lateral meaning side, so all sides are the same. All right, if we look at this one, we can tell that this is an acute one, but hopefully you've noticed that in this case, we're looking at sides, not just angles. So this is an isosceles triangle because 2 sides are the same. So iso means equal, or scalos means legs. So if you think about equal legs, well, you have 2 legs. So 2 sides of the isosceles triangle are congruent or equal. One thing that I do want to point out is that an equilateral triangle can also be an isosceles triangle because the definition to be an isosceles triangle, and listen to me on this, is at least 2 sides have to be congruent. Well, an equilateral has 3 congruent sides. So if it has to have the at least 2, then it definitely meets the criteria of at least 2 equal sides. So an equilateral triangle can be both isosceles as well as equilateral, okay? All right, so look at this one. This is a triangle. What do you notice about its sides? Hopefully you noticed that all 3 of the sides are completely different. So if all 3 of the sides are completely different, then all 3 of the angles are completely different as well. And this is called a scalene triangle. So scalos means uneven or unequal. So that should help you to understand that in a scalene triangle means that it does not have any equal sides at all. No equal sides, no equal measures. All right, so if you want some examples, you can pause me and write this down in your book. If you already have the book, you can cut it out and glue that in your math journal, okay? All right, so let's look at this one. The Hammond family traveled from Columbus, Ohio to Dallas, Texas, and then to Atlanta, Georgia, before returning home. The distance of each flight is shown on the map. find the number of congruent sides, okay? So here is the map over here, and then it already has the units of measure for you. It says 924 miles, 573 miles, and then 729 miles. So on this space, we're just going to write our 729 miles, and how many sides of a triangle are congruent? Well, it has 0 congruent sides because none of the lengths are the same, okay? So this triangle that is formed in the map in map 1 is an example of a scalene triangle. So on that space, you're going to write scalene. Hopefully you took some time and you wrote these out and you know that the scalene, equilateral, and isosceles are. Okay? So this says some key concepts. Copy down the definition of each term below and draw an example. So take some time, pause the video, write this, and please forgive me for yawning, guys. I'm sorry. But my allergies are getting the best of me. Alright? Alright, so next one. Let's look at this example because this one is going to deal with angles. So we just did one on sides. Now we're going to do with angles, okay? Triangles form the side of the Khafre, I think it's Khafre, pyramid in Egypt. Determine the number of acute, obtuse, and right angles in the triangle. Okay, so looking at this triangle, that's what we're trying to figure out. How many angles of the triangle are acute? Well, if I look at this side, this one, and this one, all of these triangles seem to be less than 90 degrees. So how many angles in the triangle are acute? I would say all 3 are acute. Okay, how many are obtuse? I would say 0. And how many are right? There are also 0 right angles in this particular face of this pyramid. So the triangle in example 2 is an example of an equilateral and, well, that would be sides, and acute triangle. So for this example, we would just say acute because we're looking at measures. Sorry, I'm even getting mixed up. We've got measures and we've got sides. So in this case, we're doing measures of angles. So we're going to say acute because we're classifying this triangle based off of angles. All right, so let's look at the guided practice, okay? Let me move my camera down a little bit. All right, classify the triangle based on its sides. So let's look. We've got 2 sides that are exactly the same and 1 side that is not. Okay, so this has 2 sides. So because of that, I would call this an isosceles triangle because we're going off of its sides. How many sides of the triangle are congruent? 2. The triangle is an isosceles triangle. Number 2 says, classify the triangle based on its angles. So looking inside of this, if all 3 sides are exactly different, then because of that, I can look to see which angles I have. So if I'm looking here, this appears to be smaller than 90. This one appears to be smaller than 90, and this one seems like a 90 degree or a right angle. So if I'm classifying this triangle based off of its angles, then for number 2, that triangle is a right triangle because it has 1 triangle angle that is 90 degrees. So if I have at least 1 angle that's 90 degrees, then I call the whole thing a right triangle. All right, so today you are going to do page, let me flip this back over, 919 and 920 as your class assignment. Now it's pretty easy. I do want you to go over it. I do want you to ask questions. If you have questions, make sure that you have your notes today about triangles based off of their sides and angles. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon, hopefully on a Zoom. All right, have a good day.